Hey guys, it's Bart Johnson here, and today I have an exciting video and overview for you guys. We're going to be taking a look at the Aputure 300D LED light and seeing if it can compete with some pro level lighting that's been an industry standard for years and years. Stay tuned. So guys, like I said, I am really excited to be here today to talk to you about this guy right here. This is the Aputure 300D LED light. This is the latest from Aputure. It is the big boy, top of the line right now in their Lightstorm series. And one of the big kickers about this is that it is a hard source, single source LED light, and that it puts out a ton of power. Now, when we first saw this at NAB back in April, NAB 2017, I was there, got to talk with Ted about this light and about some of its features. And while it looked incredibly amazing, what we really wanted to see is if their claims were true that this thing could compete with the output of stuff like tungsten 2Ks specifically is what they had mentioned, but also to see if this could fit in the lineups of maybe some small HMI lights like Joker 400s and Joker 800s, and how it compares to some traditional lighting that's been used for decades and decades in the film industry. So I want to take a look at that today. So this light, very similar to its younger brother, the 120D. It's basically about twice the size, and it comes with that awesome Bowens mount on the front, which allows you to put all sorts of lighting modifiers on it. Right now I have the Fresnel attachment, which is sold separately, but I think really is a must to go along with this light if you want to get the most power out of it. So the light can be run either on AC power or on battery, but it does pull a lot of juice. So you're going to want to make sure that you have batteries that are recommended to run this guy. And they're still not going to last you all day, but it does allow you the mobility and portability that you may be looking for with this light. And if you guys want to know more about powering the 300D, both on AC and using battery power, go ahead and check out my video. I'll pop a link to it for you guys. I have an entire video just on powering the 300D and what you're going to need to be able to do that. So let's go ahead and let's start looking at what this light can do and see if it is, whether it's just a high-end independent filmmaker tool, or if this is really starting to cross into the realm of being a contender to replace some standard lighting on pro level shoots and industry shoots. So let's take a look. Before we get into the testing and the results of the testing on this, guys, I do want to just put the disclaimer out there that this 300D was sent to me for review and testing by Aputure. It is a full production model. I got it basically when all of the production units were being shipped. But I did not buy this with my own money. They did send it over to me to check out, see what I thought of it, and really put it through its paces. Now, I'm not sponsored by Aputure or anything like that. I do tend to really like their products and usually give them some thumbs up. So let's take a look and see if I really like this light as well. So a few weeks ago, I brought the 300D out and got together with my friends from Gear Jones, Derek Allen and Tim Wilson, and we got together a giant lighting arsenal to spend the entire afternoon pitting all these lights against each other and see how they stacked up. So in addition to the 300D, we had the 120D. We also had a 2K tungsten, which was a beast of a light. We had an RE650, which is kind of your standard run-of-the-mill tungsten kit light. And we also had a Joker HMI, a Joker 800. Now this is the one that we really wanted to see how the 300D would stack up against. And so we ran all of these lights through a test. What we did is we focused all of the lights directly on a single point on a wall, a plain wall from 10 feet away. So our distance was 10 feet. And what we did is we went through running each of the lights and testing with my spectrometer, my CV600 color meter, testing the CRI, TLCI, lux, and also the color temperature to see how accurate each of these lights really were and to see what kind of power we could get out of them at that 10-foot range. We tested each of the lights in a variety of setups. So we did the 300D with the dish, that it comes with. We also did it with the Fresnel attachment, both in spot mode and in flood mode. And so we have results for all of those different situations and to see how it's stacked up and compared to some of these traditional lighting sources. So let's go ahead and dive into some of the results, guys. So first, let's go ahead and look at the results for the light in question here, the Aputure 300D. So like I said, we tested this with the dish, the Fresnel attachment on full flood, and the Fresnel attachment on full spot. And here you can see the results that we got from each of those tests. So this is a daylight balanced light, and you can see where those color temperatures are falling in a range from around 5100 all the way up to about 5400. And it does look like the Fresnel attachment does make a bit of a difference in the color temperature. So that's something to keep in mind. You can also see here the lux from 10 feet with all of those. Obviously, the Fresnel attachment gives it a big boost and allows it to throw a bit more light. Surprisingly here, we were getting numbers of around 94 for the CRI and TLCI, both with the Fresnel attachment and without. Now, while these numbers are a bit lower than the 96 or whatever it was that Aputure is claiming for this, and we were a little disappointed to see it down there in the 94 range, keep in mind that 94 is still an excellent score, and so anything over 90 is really going to give you pretty color accurate light, and it's going to recreate colors accurately. So 94, not as impressive as we were hoping that it was going to be, but still a good score in its own right. Now, of course, like I said, we wanted to pit this against some of our industry standard lights. So we had a Joker 800 HMI, which we had set to flood. We had an RE650, which we set to flood. Then we also had a 2K tungsten, which we set to both flood and spot. Now, like I said, Aputure claimed that the 300D would have output basically equivalent to a 2K tungsten. So here's where we're going to see if those claims are accurate. So as you can see, guys, when we put these results here from those tests up on the screen, we are actually getting really close in terms of lux at 10 feet from a Joker 800 HMI on flood to the Aputure 300D with the Fresnel attachment on flood. Now the 300D, when it's on spot, does beat out that Joker 800, at least at 10 feet. Now when you look at the 2K tungsten on flood, it is definitely beating. It is over 1200 lux more, just about 1200 lux more than the 2K tungsten at flood. So based on those numbers and based on both lights being set to flood and with the 300 having the Fresnel attachment, yes, this light is actually more powerful at 10 feet with this attachment than a 2K tungsten, and that is impressive considering the small form factor of this light compared to the size of those old 2K tungstens. Now, if you look at the 2K tungsten when we set that guy to spot, however, there's just absolutely no beating it. I mean, 14,308 lux, that is ridiculous. So on spot, it's gonna take a lot in order to beat a 2K tungsten, but on flood, I would say we're looking pretty good with the 300D here. Now, like I had mentioned, we also brought along the sort of younger brother, smaller version of the 300D, which is the 120D, and we wanted to put those against each other. Obviously, we're expecting that the 300D is going to be a lot brighter than the 120D. Nobody expects them to compete there, but I just wanted to give everybody an idea of where the 120D falls in that spectrum and letting you know exactly how much more power this one is putting out. So if we look here, here's the two side by side. You can see the 300D results and you can see the 120D results. So if you had any questions about how those two from the same family stack up against each other, there's your answer right there. Now guys, I know that's a lot of numbers and we did a lot of testing and that can be a lot to go through just quickly on the screen. So what I've actually done is put together a spreadsheet of all of the numbers from all of our tests, and I've put them together and I've made them available for you to download. So there's a Google Doc that you can download of that spreadsheet. I'll put a link in the description down below so you guys can go ahead and check that out and compare some of the other lights that we also tested as well, because we lined up a whole bunch of lights because we had them with us, so why not? So go ahead and check that out, guys, and check out the numbers and results for yourself. Now, of course, sitting and testing numbers and seeing how many lux from 10 feet and CRI and TLCI and all that stuff is great, but it can get a little bit boring. Nobody is buying this light to stick a color meter in front of it and use it that way. So what we really want to know is, how would this perform in real world use? So what we did is, we were lucky enough to be given a great location. My friends over at Gear Jones were able to make the connections and get us a local boxing gym, little MMA gym. And what we did is we set up a mock scene, something that we might do on a real set in real life. And what we wanted to see specifically was how the 300D compared to that Joker 800. We knew we got comparable numbers at 10 feet, but does that mean the lights could really stand up to one another? Could one of these actually replace a Joker 800 on set? And so we got this entire scene set up. We pumped some haze into the room. We had our fighter go in and do some shadow boxing and fighting. And what we did was we set the lights up outside, 1 story up, coming in through a window to try and give us a nice punchy shaft of light coming down into the scene. And what we found is that the 300 did perform extremely well. It gave us a nice beam coming down, it bounced off of that haze really well, and the shots ended up looking fantastic. But when we did the same test with the Joker 800, the Joker 800 still eked out the 300 in our opinion. It seemed to have a much more defined beam. It seemed to have a bit more punch. And so, you know, this is a longer distance than 10 feet where we did our test, and it seems like the Joker can really throw light a greater distance before it starts falling off. And so that's kind of disappointing that this won't be a perfect non-distinguishable replacement for something like a Joker HMI. Maybe a Joker 400 would be a little bit more comparable to this. But in a pinch, and if you're on a budget and you're trying to get equipment for a set and you need to do some shots like that, and you just can't afford to get a set of Joker 800s, I think personally you could get by with a set of 300Ds to pull off that same kind of thing. So I'll put that footage up again for you guys so you can see sort of side by side how the 300D and the Joker 800 compared to each other in this real world scenario here. But you can see there is still a difference, and the LED technology, as great as it is in the 300D, it just isn't quite there yet to really replace the tried and true 800 or the tried and true HMIs, specifically like the Joker 800s. So there you go, guys. There are the long-awaited test results from the testing that I did with the 300D here from Aputure, along with my friends over at Gear Jones. Big thanks to the guys at Gear Jones for getting a lot of those other lights together and for getting our location where we were able to do those awesome tests. So guys, all in all, this is an extremely impressive light. For the price and for what it is, and for LED technology and how fast LED has developed, and also how far Aputure themselves have developed LED technology, I think the 300D has really knocked it out of the park. While it sort of disappointed us a little bit in those CRI numbers, and it doesn't quite have the punch or the throw, you know, those things are probably only get improved going into the future. So if you guys have any other questions about the 300D, please feel free to pop them down in the comments below, and I'll make sure to check them out and try and answer them for you. I'm going to be making sure this guy gets lots of use on lots of projects that I have coming up, and get some more real world use out of it. But guys, make sure that you go ahead and like this video and click down below to subscribe. Make sure you click that notification bell so that you get alerted every time I have new videos coming out and new products to review, new tips and tricks, and all that sort of good stuff. So stay tuned, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next one.